Hello, good day, welcome back. I'm Reverend Philip Ong, your co-student in God's Word to Salva Vida Ministries, a series entitled Parables of Jesus in the Gospels. Now let's talk about Isaiah 62, the source of the parable of the wedding feast. Jesus' parable of the great wedding banquet springs from God's old covenant promise to remarry Israel. This profoundly impacts our understanding of the end of the world or time of the end biblical doctrine, in spite of the fact that traditional Christianity has essentially ignored this critical issue. This is work for us carefully to study it. Currently investigating the end of the world or time of the end of the age at the parables of Jesus. As we have suggested to you, that Jesus' parables are model, they guide the storyline of all New Testament and of the age, and they in turn are based upon the Old Covenant promises made to Old Covenant Israel. For instance, in Matthew chapter 22, Jesus told a parable of a king who made a great wedding feast for his son. He sent out his servants to call those who have been invited to the wedding. Well, let's see here in Isaiah chapter 62, and this in the historical context of God divorcing the 10 northern tribes because of her spiritual adultery. And yet, captivatingly enough, God had also said that Judah in the last days would be divorced just like Israel was, Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8. And God would remarry the whole house of Israel. But you see, God could not divorce and destroy Judah initially. Why? Because of the promise of the Messiah. And so God made a promise that the time was after the divorcement of Israel, and it would be in the last days, according to Hosea chapter 2 verse 18 and following. But God would remarry the whole house of Israel. That is what is included in Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 31 and following. God making the promise of a new covenant. He would said, I'll make a new covenant with the whole house of Israel, with Judah. And see, in order to make a new covenant, the old covenant had to pass away. It was critical, absolutely necessary. When Isaiah 62, God is divorcing old covenant Israel, but in the promise of the remarriage, it is inclusive of Jerusalem. This is incredible. What now Isaiah chapter 62, the Lord said, for Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace, for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as the lamp that burns. You shall be called by a new name. Remember, a new name. You will be crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. You will no longer be termed forsaken, nor shall your land anymore be termed desolate, but you shall be called Hephzibah, and your land Beulah. Well, what Hephzibah meant? It means married. Okay, for as young man marries a virgin, so shall your sons marry you, and as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. Well, it would be, let's go down to verse 10 and following. Go through the gates, prepared for the people. Build up the highway, take out the stones, lift up a banner for the people. Indeed, the Lord has proclaimed the end of the world. Say to the daughter of Zion, Remember, the end of the world, say to the daughter of Zion, surely your salvation is coming. Behold, his reward is with him, and his works before him. And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord. And ye shall be called, sought out, a city not forsaken. Well, you say, this is not about Jerusalem historically. It's about the 10 northern tribes. But God projects to the time of the coming in judgment that includes Jerusalem. Zion, when would this take place? Now remember, over here in Matthew chapter 22, Jesus is talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. In Isaiah 62, it's talking about the glorification and the remarriage of Jerusalem. That's because Judah had to be divorced in order to be remarried. That's right, just like Israel was divorced in order to be remarried. When would it take place? Isaiah 62 says, behold, your salvation is coming. His reward is with him, and his work before him. Let's go to Matthew 16, 27 and 28. The Son of Man will come in the glory of the Father with his angels, and shall reward every man according to his work. Works, assuredly, I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. When would the wedding take place? In Matthew 22, verse 7, the Lord said, he would send out his armies, he would slay those wicked men, he would destroy the city, and then guess what would take place? The servants were sent out into the highways and the byways to call anyone and everyone into the wedding. The wedding would take place in direct conjunction with the Jerusalem of destruction of Old Covenant Judah or Jerusalem, i.e. the unfaithful harlot wife. That destruction took place in the first century. As we conclude just Isaiah 62 and Matthew 16, 27 and 28 posited the coming of the Lord in judgment. For the wedding feast will be at the coming of the Lord in the first century generation, and it took place at the time of the destruction of the divorcement of the Old Covenant Judah and Jerusalem. We do have more right here. See you next week, if God is willing, as we say in Salva Vida Ministries, bringing hope, times of trouble, and witnessing God's saving grace. Goodbye.
When the waves of life pull you down and your heart is lost and bound,